Hi, I'm Orrin Coley. I'm from Leicester. I am the head setter and coach at a relatively new climbing wall there called Social Climbing Leicester, and I'm also a competition and rock climber. I first started out on the GB team as effectively like their first ever speed climber. I really enjoyed speed climbing. I did it a lot and I still enjoy it. I don't really do much of it anymore. I was always very passionate about bouldering though, and that's kind of where my heart was. I sort of pushed myself hard until I could eventually get on the GB team for bouldering. I sort of made my first debut in that in 2014, where I got to go and compete in my first bouldering World Cups for the British team. And since then, I've been in and out of the GB team competing for them and not quite making the cut. At the moment, especially the British team, or the top, not just the British team, but the top level of British climbing is incredibly high. Everyone is pushing themselves really hard, they're training hard, they're really incredibly inspiring athletes, and it's been good to be a mix of that and fighting with them to try and maintain a spot. Luckily, I've managed to regain a space back on the GB team for the 2020 season, so hopefully I'll be getting out on the mats next year doing some World Cups. I first fell in love with outdoor bouldering maybe when I was about 17, so that'd be 7 or 8 years ago now, and I loved it. It was great. It was the same thing I know and love, but different. I'd be in different environments, different situations, different people, different problems, and it just takes you to a whole other place in the world. You enjoy it in a very different way to competing. I've always been competing, and outdoor climbing has been the thing on the side for me that I do off season or when I get a chance outside of training and comps. The last year I haven't been competing as much as I wasn't on the GB team, so I decided to put a lot of focus and time into rock, and that's been a real game changer for me, having the time to get out on the rock and try things which I've always dreamed of doing and giving a good shot, but other things have taken precedence. This year, it's mostly been rock. I started out at the beginning of the year climbing what was my second 8B+ boulder problem, which was, I can't remember now, the 5th or 6th ascent of Voyager Sit Start in the Peak District at Burbage North, put up by Ben Moon many years ago. It's one of the best hard lines in the country. I think it's on every sort of British boulderer's dream list to do one day, and it was an incredible experience to get to climb that.
Yes! Wow! Yes! What was all the hassle about? Yes!
Other than that, like this year, I've just been out projecting, climbing things at my local crag, Forest Rock. I've been trying a new line there, which I sort of saw a while back and thought it'd be totally impossible. And I worked that for months and months. It was so much effort to try and do it. And in the end, thankfully, I did it after a day's work setting. I was just psyched, finished setting, it was raining. I drove over there, and luckily it was dry, and I just sort of got on it, and I did it first go that day, and without a doubt, even now, that's still the hardest thing I've ever done. Myself and I think other athletes are creating their own content online now. I think it's almost to keep in line with the trend of how things are going. If you go back not that long ago, you wanted to do a climb, you'd rock up to the crag, you'd figure it out yourself. That was that. Maybe a friend had done it and told you. And maybe for the better or worse, it depends on which side of the fence you sit. There's videos of everything online now. And I've made videos of my climbs for years where I just film ascents I've done, just put up an uncut video of a climb, or maybe several climbs I've done on a trip or a day out. And it's really good fun to do that. It's nice to share those. But I've been interested in trying to change that up a little bit. I want people to get something more. So recently with my friend Ian, we tried to make a video of a climb I did recently called Monk Life at Kylo in the Wood. We tried to do a video of that where we'd give some context to it a little bit more, so it'd be a little bit about the climb, the history of it, the sessions, my experience with it, doing it, and showing some fails, different angles, things like that, and just making something where it's not necessarily a super long film, but something where it can take a couple minutes of your time and you can just find it a bit more interesting rather than just going, that's a hard climb, I think. I don't know actually, but it looks hard. He says it's hard. Maybe this way it can give people a bit more context.
So you want good skim through, which is why my previous sessions partly it seemed so achievable yet so far away at the same time. Today, weirdly enough, is like, it's my 4th day on climbing.
I have a strange obsession with dank caves. I don't know how else I can put that.
So wet and muddy out today.
If you look past the location of I'm in a wet, cold, miserable cave, maybe there's some goat poo over somewhere or whatever, like, if you look past all that, sometimes there's some very good climbing and it's easy to ignore that. There is also very good climbing elsewhere in the world in much more beautiful, fantastic scenarios and situations, but I want to experience it all. I want to try and climb whatever I can climb. I want to try hard things. I like going out and trying hard things, and that often leads me to some of these strange places like Impossible Roof today.
Yeah! Woo! There we go! That's how we do it! Whoa!
I haven't fully decided what my next year will have for me yet. I love competing, and the last year has been really hard for me not getting to go and compete internationally because I just love it so much. The experience, the situations, the people, it's all fantastic. I think I've enjoyed myself on the rock this year, and that's been an incredible different change for my life. It's been fantastic. I think the fact that I have this opportunity next year, I will do my best to compete as much as I can and see where that takes me. Like I said before, the competition is there once. There will be other comps, but that one will only be there once. This project on the rock will always be there, really. So you can wait if you want something bad enough.